We can actually send it to someone. The online stream, online stream is
Yes.
Okay, can we start? Is everyone ready? I think we need the first room, and we need to first say good morning to everyone and welcome to our media briefing today. We'll be updating you on the training that is taking place in MPUMALANGA under the guise of military training actually. So today, this will be providing the briefing and what we have actually discovered and through our investigation. I would also just make a few rules to be known. Please put our phones on silent. And also just to advise that female negatives are on your left to come up the contents, and the male ones are on your right. But I think other than that, we can begin, and I will give our panel to introduce themselves, and we will start with the meeting. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Manabela Chauke. I'm the CEO of PSiRA, and welcome to PSiRA. Thank you for honoring our invite. On my right is our head of communications and training, Mr. Kosi Chwalo. On my left is our head of law enforcement, Mr. Alan John.
Thank you, Director. Yes, we can begin. Thank you.
I don't know what is the protocol, you let me know.
We can start.
You can start. Okay. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and members of the media, the PSiRA management, colleagues, and members of the public, all guests that are present here this morning. We have invited you this morning to share an update on the ongoing investigation relating to the illegal camp where 95 Libyan nationals were arrested in MPUMALANGA 2 weeks ago. The authority plays a critical role in regulating the private security industry to ensure that it contributes positively to our national security. We do so to promote a legitimate industry that acts in accordance with the principles echoed in our Constitution. Our priority remains the safeguarding of our citizens and upholding the high standards of integrity and professionalism within the private security industry. Like any other regulator established by our Constitution, our work is subject to the rule of law. We conduct it with the utmost integrity, respect for legal processes, and the recognition of rights and obligations of all parties involved. We therefore hope that the above will assist to explain why we deferred the opportunity to account prematurely to the public and the many questions that were supposed to have been answered in a few weeks ago. We align ourselves with the principles in our Constitution, which mandates the safeguarding of our national security through adherence to laws and democratic values. Complementing these principles is the regulation of the Foreign Military Assistance Act, 15 of 1998, which strictly controls foreign military assistance, preventing unauthorized military activities within our borders. The authority is empowered to enforce the law in the event of any violation of this legislation within the private security industry. As you may be aware, at the moment, the security training is a highly regulated trade, which often requires compliance with a set of legal criteria. Our legislation defines security training as a training required by law for a person to be registered or allowed to provide a security service. The second cardinal requirement, amongst others, is that you must be a South African citizen, or at least be in possession of a permanent resident status. Any person who is not eligible to be registered and is not a South African citizen may not receive security training unless permitted or exempted or otherwise in terms of the law or other legal instruments. Therefore, the scope of our investigation into the activities of Military's Gay Security Pty Limited, I will shorten it to call it MDSS, and its personnel will focus on the nature of security training of the Libyan nationals, the accreditation of the training camp, the accreditation of the training programs, the training infrastructure on site. As a point of departure, we were obliged to ascertain certain legal aspects, such as the nationality, compliance with our immigration laws, the process leading up to their entry, the undertaking of training within our borders. For the purposes of our scope, we will restrict our feedback to the issues relevant to our mandate and the scope of our investigation. I begin by outlining the timelines leading up to the arrest and the progressive investigation by the authority. On the 18th of July 2024, we were informed by the SAPS on the allegations that MPSS was conducting military training in a farm in MPUMALANGA. On the 19th, we redirected our law enforcement team that was deployed in MPUMALANGA to investigate the allegations in the farm. On the 21st, we issued MDSS with a directive to cease training operations of the Libyan nationals with immediate effect. MDSS requested an opportunity to consult with their legal representative, and we granted them that opportunity. On the 23rd of July 2024, they confirmed immediate cessation of the training of Libyan nationals and offered to cooperate with our investigations. From the 19th of July 2024, our team maintained constant surveillance and monitoring of the activities at the farm up until the operations which saw the arrest of the 95 nationals on the 26th of July 2024. Since the investigation progressed, we wish to confirm that MDSS is a registered service provider with the authority. They are accredited to train security grade E to C from 2019 as per our records. We will also further confirm that we conducted a routine inspection at their premises at the facility 11 months ago. The current location of the accredited facility is unchanged. However, it is worth noting that the investigation discovered a second training facility located 7.5 kilometers away from the original accredited facility. The second training facility is the same facility referred to as the illegal Libyan military training camp. The investigation discovered that the Libyan military training camp was never accredited by the authority. The duration of the training programs conducted by MDSS took longer than our local security training programs. The nature of the training included extensive physical activities with military-style structures and aids. Investigation also uncovered that instructors that are not accredited by the authority at that facility. These trainers also used military ranks, and further, that point reaffirmed that the nature of the training that was being conducted there was not security training. Based on the work that we've conducted this far, we arrived at the following preliminary findings. First, number one, the second training facility where the Libyans were found is not accredited and therefore it's illegal. Number two, that the training program and the duration was not the normal training program but security training that is offered in South Africa. Thirdly, that the standards of training that was offered was foreign or also adopted from other countries. That four, that no local grades, security grades training such as the accredited E to C that were offered at that military training camp. 5. Some of the instructors at the camp were non-South Africans. 6. The design and the layout of the infrastructure of the Libyan camp supported a military-style training camp. 7. That there were contraventions of the immigration laws of South Africa, both by the owners and the learners at the camp. 8. There were no authorization, agreements, or exemptions granted to MDSS by the National Regulator for Conventional Arms Control to provide training or military training of the Libyan nationals. 9. But MDSS, its owners and its personnel contravened the code of conduct for the private security service providers. And then 10, the activities of MDSS, its owners and its personnel at the Libyan training camp were in violation of various criminal statutes. In light of the above feedback, the next process is the consideration of charges and the formal prosecution of the service providers and the individuals involved in the contravention of the code of conduct. Of course, we will also prefer criminal charges against them. We also wish to confirm that as of this morning, MDSS and its directors were served with notices of suspension. We also thought that it is important for us to share the enforcement work that we have done in the past 5 years, just to give context to members of the public to understand the type of work that we do. Part of our regulatory mandate is to monitor the activities of over 16,000 registered security service providers, including 10% accredited as training providers. The monitoring involves, amongst others, physical inspections, data analysis of the activities of the service providers, compliance awareness programs, investigations of complaints, extensive advocacy programs, collaboration with security agencies, and enforcement of the legislations. These activities are annually based on the prior data analysis that we conduct in order to determine enforcement targets. Available budgets also dictate the type of work we do, risk analysis, and also capacity requirements. Our medium-term planning, which is now the 5 years that we're talking about, we were able to conduct 220,000 inspections, which resulted in 14,300 cases registered with the South African Police Services for various contraventions. These rigorous regulatory interventions, we were able to arrest through these activities 4,200 individuals, security service providers, and we were able to finalize almost 3,400 cases, criminal cases. Over and above these successes, we were able to prosecute 8,700 cases of improper conduct, which resulted in almost 4,400 withdrawal of registrations of the service providers. In that same period, we were able to issue fines over 100 million against these service providers that contravened the law. These successes are an overall demonstration of the commitment of our staff in fulfilling the regulatory mandate for the benefit of the people of South Africa. The authority records the overall performance of our predetermined outcomes, sitting at 88.2% in the past 5 years of our planning cycle. We also believe that there is always room to improve our ability to monitor the activities of service providers and the operators much more frequently. In the light of the above, we wish to continue the tireless work to enforce the compliance, conduct rigorous inspections, and take decisive actions against any entities in violation of our regulations. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to take this opportunity to thank South Africans for hearing our call, to provide us with an opportunity to conduct a thorough investigation, and hopefully at this point in time, we are able to say that we are very much cognizant of that this is a matter of national interest and sensitive to our national security. Therefore, it requires constant feedback. Thank you very much. We will take questions from you.
Thank you, Mr. Chopra. We'll take the first round of questions. We'll take 5 questions in this first round, and then we'll provide the opportunity for the panel to answer. Then we'll go to the second round. Please also just state your name and the media house you're coming from, and then you can pose your question. You go ahead, I think.
Good morning, Alvin St-Pierre from Newsroom Africa. You say that there are a number of contraventions in terms criminal contraventions that have been committed by the institute or the academy. Are you able to list what those are? And is the academy in contravention of the Military Assistance Act? And then the final one is on the owners of the academy. Do you know whether the NPA or the police will be going ahead with prosecution against the owners as well as the instructors?
All right, Kool-Aid Treaty Jones, the NCA. Have we established, or are you looking at the possibilities of suspending MBS's security training license? That's number one. The Libyan nationals, CEDAW managed to go unprotected for a while. Are you now going to be ensuring that you reinforce your oversight processes in trying to ensure that this does not happen again? And are you looking into the possibility of the existence of other secret camps in the province and other parts of the country? Thank you.
Tavis Ogoba from Eyewitness News. Just questions of clarity on my side. The first question is, I understand there were two camps. One was a registered camp and one was this illegal camp. I just want, am I understanding that correctly? And secondly, the registered camp, the one that wasn't, that didn't have to be with Libyan nationals, what kind of camp was it? And can you just please tell us, I think you said you accredited Milita for E to G training or E to C. What kind of training is that? If you can just maybe just give us an example. Thank you.
I think we have, okay,
Hi, regarding protection rate. You mentioned that some of the trainers were not South African.
I'm sorry, what nationality were some of the trainers that you found at the site that were not South African, firstly? And secondly, the second facility that you determined was the illegal training camp. What elements at the camp led you to determine that it was in fact a military training camp?
That's part of the question.
What factors at the second camp led you to determine that it is a military training camp?
all right, the last question for this first round. So a couple of hands.
I'm Anya from Metacritic Field. Mr. Tucker, I'm wondering about the first camp. Are you suspending all activities on the second, on the first and second camp, or what is the way forward now? Can you please elaborate a bit on the suspension you mentioned on the owners? Suspension on, just a bit more information on that. Thank you, sir.
I think that, I think you can answer those first questions from the first one.
Okay, thank you very much. I think the first question is, are we able to list some of the criminal offences that may have been committed at the camp? I began my explanation in outlining what are the activities that are prohibited in terms of the Regulation of Foreign Military Assistance Act. And that specific legislation creates an offense if you offer any training. In this case, I must say that for your benefit, it doesn't really matter whether the training is military, even if it was supposed to be an ordinary security training, to a foreign national who originate from a country where there is armed conflict. That is illegal. If you go and look at section 198 of our constitution, it put it very plain for South Africans what they ought to know about the national security of this country. So that's the first criminal offense. Of course, there are other activities which will be unpacked by the investigations is going on, such as what other activities that are there that are prohibited by the Act that we have contribute. And I'm being very careful here because I don't want to go deeper into the issues. Thank you very much. The second question is, are we going to be prosecuting the owners? Yes, of course, we are going to prepare criminal charges against the owners. It's quite obvious we've already made a pronouncement that they've committed a criminal offense. The third is the NPA and the police going ahead. Yes, I would like to think that once all the investigation is complete, they will have the opportunity to look at what is presented before them and take an appropriate decision. Prosecute or not to prosecute. Are we going to be suspending the owners? And I think we have already announced that as of this morning we've set them with such suspensions. So the owner and the camp itself, the registered one. Remember, we get involved because we have accredited MDSS. So they are subject to our oversight in terms of the regulatory work that we do. The Libyans, I think the other question was, can you just remind me of the question?
Peter had a question about the Libyan nationals.
Second question.
Yes, you said if we reinforce any processes.
Yeah, playing oversight roles to ensure this does not happen again.
Yeah, as we said that there is activities that we undertake in order to monitor the activities of security companies. Obviously, due to the number that we have of these companies, ideally it would be possible to have a 1:1 ratio of monitoring. But we use various other methods to monitor, such as data analysis. I mentioned that we do stakeholder engagements. I mentioned that we do other programs that will let us monitor the activities. Of course, a lot more of it depends on the integrity of the people that we are licensing to do this work. So in this case, it is quite clear that we've licensed them to do this particular work. Instead of doing it, they then extended their mandate to a different camp, which we also don't know, and we discovered during the investigation. So, yes, we will improve the activities in various ways. I think that's the whole intention. And I think, Tabiso, you asked about the registered camp. Whether are we going to be looking into its activities? The suspension that we announced this morning is regarding the registered camp, because the very actions that we are dealing with now arose out of their activities. Although I must say, for the purposes of this investigation, we are talking about two different camps. There is one that is registered, there is one that is not registered. The people who are linked to the one that is registered are the ones who are involved in the running of the camp that is legal. Therefore, we will have to suspend their license because that's not what we registered them for or created them to do. The issue is, yes. So, what does EDC entail? The E2C is the training that allows you to do different other things within the private security industry. Just to give you an example, when you're a patrol officer, you normally do an E-grade training, which will then teach you how to make observations, to patrol, communicate, to do basic, up to C, you will then be advanced to the supervisor level, be able to write reports, be able to report a crime, to do all sorts of things, including access control and so on and so on. So it's something that is very different from military training altogether. So what are the things that we saw in that camp that said this is different from security? First of all, the makeup of the camp itself, the infrastructure that is there. I'm sure you've seen many photos that have been out. We do not have such type of infrastructure for ordinary security training, unless if they are doing advanced technical courses and so on and so on. But these ones we don't have. I'm sure you've seen that they have trenches that they dig. We don't do trenches. We don't do those type of things. So there's many other things that we've seen. We had the opportunity to look into the programs because we were doing the investigation. So we made much more, firm conclusions as to the type of training that we've done. The suspension, as I said, means that they cannot provide any security training, and they cannot provide any security service up until we have finalized the code of conduct in the plan, which will be looking into the activities that we are outlining today. And there was a question about foreign national. I don't know if I've answered. Yes. Of course, as I said, that we were privy to other details of the investigations. We know the people that were there. We have documentation that link them there. And as I said in the beginning, we also had to do some groundwork in terms of what nationalities are there. Of course, we work with other agencies. You may be aware that Home Affairs are involved, SAPS was involved, and so on. So we are sure that the people that were in that camp are not South Africans. And some of them were actually providing the training as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chauke. We can take second round of questions. Any questions?
Thank you so much. CEO,
If I understand,
Sorry, please can you just state your name?
Oh, sorry. Peter Kindness. If I understand you clearly, one camp is legal, one is illegal. Now, the one that you have done the investigation and found out the suspension tonight, is it the legal one? But also, the question is, if you're suspending the illegal camp, which is run by those from the legal camp, meaning that they are using the illegal one as a decoy, why don't you suspend both camps? Because those who are running the illegal ones are the ones from the legal ones. It's confusing. And second question, what have you learned at PSiRA from this? What have you learned from this? Thanks.
Hello, I'm from Reuters. My name is Nellie Payton. Just a clarifying question: the trainers who are foreign nationals that you've mentioned, are those among the 95 Libyans that we heard were arrested, or are these other foreign nationals? And are you looking into whether this company was doing was contracted by a foreign military group, or who these Libyans are affiliated with, or is that beyond the reach of your investigation?
Thank you.
Check. Lady Kitty Jones, once again, ENCA. Just for clarity, we have of course gotten information and also been told by someone within the Libyan embassy that this particular training facility was used as a rehabilitation center for these 95 Libyan nationals linked to the army general in Libya. Can you confirm that? Have your investigations found anything related to that?
Okay.
And CEO, the military ranks that you were speaking about earlier on, can you detail what military ranks those were?
Thank you. Are there no more questions? Thank you.
Thank you very much. The issue on the suspension of camp, maybe let me just clarify, we began by outlining the activities that we did around to the 18th and the 19th and so on. So the one camp that was illegal, we didn't have to suspend the activities there. We had to stop the activities, and that is what we achieved even before the arrest took place. The registered camp, of course, we have said that the owners are the ones that are linked to the second camp. So we've had to initiate the legal process of getting them suspended, which is what we did this morning. As of the time we started to today, there's been legal correspondence between ourselves and their lawyers, where we are setting out the action that we're taking against them. So it's very clear, there's no doubt about it. They have been suspended. So ordinarily it means that the other camp had ceased to operate in a long time ago, even before the arrest took place. They had stopped and arrested, working. What have we learned from these activities? I must say that there's always a lesson in all these work that we do. And this helps us to improve the kind of work we do. We are very fortunate because we exist in a community of law enforcement agencies. We work together with SAPS and many other agencies. And that is the reason why we were able to move very swiftly to deal with this. Of course, as I said, there are lessons that we've learned, how to improve the type of work that we do. Unfortunately, I hope you're not asking me whether we are collecting intelligence, but that's not the work that we do, but that's a question for other agencies. For me, I think we will learn to improve from where we are right now. There was a question about the 95 years. Is it the trainers?
Yes, the instructors were also part of the 95.
Yes. Yes, I can confirm that they were part of the 95. Four people that were arrested. And there was also something we're looking into.
Who are they affiliated to?
Unfortunately not. And I'm not saying that no one is looking into it. But our scope of the investigation limits us to matters that we are regulating. We cannot go beyond that. Whether we will assist, if we know, yes, we will assist. But we are not part of looking into those activities. There was information that the camp was used as a rehabilitation center. I hear it for the first time. Unfortunately, I can comment on that part. I'm not aware of the part. I don't know what a rehabilitation center means, but yeah. And what are the details of the ranks? In the military and in the civilian space, we've got different kind of age ranks. We have a sergeant, we have a major, sergeant major, we have a general, a brigadier general, and so on. So those are some of the ranks that we came across in the criminal investigations. So, yeah, I think I don't know if there's any other questions.
No, that was the last one. Are there any other questions? This will be the final round.
Okay, thanks. My name is Cliff Alfonso Chakala from News. Just wanted to ask in terms of your operations with PSiRA, if someone wants to run a kit containing of assault, do they have to notify you or they just have to score whatever in the filing involved with the stuff you have to do?
Yes,
thank you. Peter again from Kindness. Just explain the duration of this training. The local ones, how long, and then this one specifically, look at the number of ones that you just explain to me. How long was it actually compared to the country? Thanks.
Right, there was another hand up. Yes.
confirm, are you saying the foreign trainers are Libyan nationals or are they from another country?
Right, thank you very much. To answer.
Thank you very much. When you want to set up any training facility, first you have to conform to the training programs that you have to be setting up. In the case of the technical, we have to define what are the outcomes that we're seeking to achieve. If you want to prepare people for technical scenarios and so on, of course, you will have to put up the kind of training aids that will assist them and the assessment that you will need to do, take them through that kind of, it doesn't have to be in a military format, but it has to conform with the standard that is a local standard. It doesn't matter what training it is, it needs to conform to the local standards. You know that for training, we have, and I'm going to explain here the grade 3 in training. It's the elementary. It takes about 5 days, which is about 40 hours. So you will attend from Monday to Friday, you will write the exam. If you happen to pass, you'll be able to then go and do the work and then you will be trained. So the accreditation takes, it takes in the form of the material, infrastructure, location, training aids, all of those things needs to be accredited. You can't just wake up and introduce your own training aids in that kind of setup. So there is quite a very strict adherence to the specific protocol. As I said, our training, if you were to do E to C, it can easily take about 4 weeks, including the assessment and so on. But in this case, we know that this training took longer than 3 months. So that is not our training. And even when you were to do the local training, there would be intermittent assessments of the training to a point where we as the regulator would know that you are busy conducting training, you are attending training, they will send us your results, which we upload on our system so that people who want to question the credentials are able to verify the training. So this is not the case which we found in Yeah, I think the last question was whether the people that were there were Libyan nationals. Yes, confirmed that they were Libyan nationals.
No, it was the trainers. I think the question was trainers.
Yeah, they were Libyan nationals with senior passports. Confirmed.
I think that brings us then to the end of our media briefing. Thank you so much to everyone that has attended today and honoring the invite. The media briefing is officially closed. Thank you.
Thank you.